now turn up.
What up is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. We are giving away a Jerry Jeudy signed jersey. All you have to do is be a subscriber for a chance to win. And if you are watching this right now or in the next couple weeks here, you are probably really addicted to Dynasty Fantasy Football because you are already thinking about the 2022 draft. Why are you thinking about the 2022 draft? I don't know. Maybe you're in a big rebuild and you're just really excited about rookies and you haven't had enough in 2021. So I will say in general about the 2022 draft, these picks are at about 75% value compared to the 2021 picks until I would say the first couple weeks into the NFL season. The reason for that is because at least when you're trying to trade them away and collect them, just know that this is, again, value that you're going to have to try to cash on it in a year and a half. So if you're in a rebuild or if you're trying to reload, like a year and a half is what you're going to wait until these players step onto the NFL field. And a lot of things change. Just because there's amazing two running backs into this draft doesn't mean it's going to stay like that. Injuries can happen. They can have a really disappointing season. Chuba Hubbard. Things always happen where maybe they don't early declare. Travis Etienne of last year. Like things just know that you may be planning on a plan, and that plan always gets ruined and destroyed. Very rarely does an actual wide receiver one, like a year and a half out, and running back one stay the same unless it's an amazing prospect. I mean, I looked at Jerry Jeudy. He was like oh my goodness, this is a once-in-a-generational talent. And he was wide receiver 2, 3, 4 coming off the boards because CeeDee Lamb all of a sudden took him over. You looked at even Travis Etienne was like the easy 101 a year and a half ago. Who's the running back one now? Najee Harris. Like things change and players all of a sudden come out of nowhere and perform really well, like the Javonte Williams, and some people get like big injuries. And we're going to talk about Justin Ross, and Justin Ross was another one that had big injuries. But we're going to talk about Sam Howell right here, QB UNC. We're going to be talking through a couple QBs, but a lot of the running backs and wide receivers. I mean, we're just talking a guy out of another North Carolina quarterback, but 68 touchdowns, 14 interceptions in 25 games. He is just one of the prettiest passing motions and really good deep balls when it comes to being a quarterback. And is this going to be a quarterback that's going to be close to the quarterbacks of 2020? I don't think so. I think this is where you're going to see a dip off. Actually, I should say the general kind of what's going on with this class right off the bat, because I've heard a lot, is the wide receivers are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be bigger, probably not as amazing. I would say the running backs could potentially have a couple of them that are right into that Najee range, which I think this class might be a tiny bit better than 2021. And then we're going to talk about quarterbacks that are going to have a huge dip. And of course, there is no Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is already declared and gone. So sorry for all you Kyle. This might be the reason why you want Kyle Pitts, but Sam Howell, again, he'll be the best chance of being picked 101 in next year's draft. And he'll be the best, I guess, chance of being the number one quarterback taken off in Superflex and 1QB leagues. But we are going to go with Spencer Rattler. I think he is probably right up there with him. I think Spencer Rattler is, again, another Oklahoma quarterback. I feel like we've been talking about Baker, and then we talk about Kyler, and then we talk about Jalen, and then we talk about now Spencer Rattler. And if you've ever watched, I think it's QB1, the TV show, he was a part of that. Spencer Rattler, a good mobile quarterback. I think he'll be he's really close to being up. I think he could have the Heisman. The reason why I think he could have the Heisman is I think he could have the more stats. I mean, we look at if you look at his stats, he outperforms most of the other quarterbacks just because that Oklahoma offense is it's crazy. It really is. But Spencer Rattler is known for being highly recruited quarterback coming out of high school. He makes some pretty risky decision making, and I think that's what sometimes leads him down a wrong path when it comes to being a quarterback. But I mean, if you have a short memory about it, then you have a short memory about it. Do you guys want to know who 101 of the 2021 one QB draft is probably going to be? It's probably going to be Breece Hall. Like, let's be honest, we're just going to throw it out there because 18 months, things can change. But Breece Hall, Actually, I should take 12 months, things can change. But Breece Hall of Iowa State, we're talking about a 3-down running back who, even in his rookie year, started getting 20-plus catches in his rookie campaign, which was something very unique that not a lot of running backs get. But Breece Hall, 3-down running back, he's 6'1", 215-ish pounds. We're talking about the perfect size for a running back. Up there into that kind of like Najee type talent. How Najee is easy 101. Breece Hall could be the next running back of the Miami Dolphins, and I'm going to keep saying it because eventually they're going to have to draft somebody, and eventually we're going to be right. So, Breece Hall. The running back that's going to be closest to him is Isaiah Spiller, and again, a big pounding running back. He is the closest thing to not CJ Spiller, but more of like a Javonte Williams. You're talking about a 3-down punishing running back, doesn't show elite speed. You might not see the 4.4s. You might see a 4.55, a 4.60. But again, he's a punishing running back that has gotten better over time here. And Isaiah Spiller up there, probably into that tier 1 of running backs in the 2021 class. I think the 2020 class was a really elite running back class, and we're seeing that now. 2021, I think, is going to be a slight disappointment because you might have Najee that produces right away with a lot of volume and stuff, but then you're going to have a couple of these other running backs that may take a little while to get in, kind of the J.K. Dobbins style, where it takes a half a year, 3/4 of a year to get going. But Isaiah Spiller, the next running back. And then we're going to go through some wide receivers here. You have Chris Olave and you have Garrett Wilson, both wide receivers out of Ohio State. Depends on who you want to think the offense is. Chris Olave, I think, is more of the Devontae Smith type, just saying that he had a good junior year, but he's coming back for his senior year. I had him as a wide receiver 8-9-ish in this class, so he could move up. He could move up into that wide receiver 3-4-5 range, maybe even a little bit high. It depends on how his season performs. He's not going to be an early declare, so that's going to hurt him. Garrett Wilson, though, he makes really, really fluid route running decisions, and he's a very, very similar type to, I would say, kind of more of like an Amon-Ra St. Brown type. But I would say even a little bit better than that. I think Garrett Wilson is. And that's why you're going to see him in the top 2, in the top 3 wide receivers for this 2021 class. David Bell, another wide receiver out of Purdue. We're talking about a guy in the last 9 games. He had 905 yards, 6 touchdowns, which is amazing. And then in 2020, he had 625 yards, 8 touchdowns in 6 games. He is one of those physical wide receivers that makes difficult catches through contact. Again, going to be another top, probably 3 wide receiver. There's a good tier here. They're bigger. These guys are bigger wide receivers too than I guess you would say the Rondale Moores, the Jalen Waddles, which are these, and Kadarius Tonys, which are all these kind of like little tiny scat backs. The next one is Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. And if you want to know a guy that I personally love, this is personally my wide receiver 1 right off the board. And maybe it's because he's 6'3", 230 pounds, and he's slimmed down to that. And he has 5XL gloves. This guy has a natural hands catcher, which is what you love to see at the college level. And he is a monster. I mean, you're talking about 6'3", 230 pounds. I love him. He's my wide receiver 1 in this next draft class. Do I think he's going to be the next CeeDee Lamb? No, but I think he could be like the next, I would say, Andre Johnson-ish type. He reminds me a lot of Andre Johnson. I love him. I love this guy. We'll see what happens if it stays that way. George Pickens, he's more of I guess he's a quicker wide receiver, but he's out of Georgia. We're talking about, you talk about ACL injury. He's had some issues with that. Did he show enough to his first 2 seasons to declare? Whatever it is, I mean, I think he is going to be a risky choice. He's going to be one of those boomer bust type. I think he's going to be more like this Henry Ruggs boomer bust type. I'm not saying he's a player like Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is completely different than George Pickens, but George Pickens is going to be a very, very risky wide receiver. So that's going to be somebody that you're going to have to decide what to do with his injury type. But he's coming back, so, I was going to say, he's coming back, but he's recovering from ACL injury, so maybe he's not coming back. So you're going to have to figure that could be a tricky one. That could be a Tylan Wallace redo. Like Tylan Wallace, if he would have went to a better situation and then Baltimore, I would have really liked Tylan Wallace, but Of course, he goes to Baltimore, where all wide receivers go to die. Then we're going to go with our running back, Kyren Williams. Just another running back that is really good in pass catching, a producer at Notre Dame. So we're talking about 14 touchdowns, over 1,400 yards in scrimmage in 12 games. A guy that really, really showed that he could be the 3-down running back. And we're going to go through a couple wide receivers here. John Mechie, III, wide receiver, Alabama. Just know, another Alabama wide receiver. You're going to have to throw it in there because, again, quick wide receiver. He's the next long line of wide receivers coming in from Alabama, and he's just kind of like everyone else that comes from Alabama. I would say he could shoot up the boards just because of how much production he's going to get. Number 12, Zamir White. We talked about him earlier. He's out of Georgia. He's a big running back. He's torn 2 ACLs. We'll see how he performs at Georgia. I really liked him as like that RB, like 5, 6, 7 type right after the big 3 that we had in 2020 class, but he didn't declare. He wanted to go back out. Eric Gray, running back, Oklahoma. Talked about more pass catching back. I see him more in the lines of, I would say kind of a Kenneth Gainwell-ish type, just because I like to compare him to 2020, 2019 running backs, so you guys at least have an idea. But I think Eric Gray is going to be more of that like passing down back. The last guys we're going to go through are Drake London and Justin Ross. Justin Ross was projected to be a first-round draft pick, but then he missed the season, and he has risk of never playing again, which is a huge, big thing because of a neck injury. And spinal injuries coming from a chiropractor, you never want to hear that. The last one is going to be Drake London, and he's committed to a 2-sport athlete, which is kind of cool. Like, he has a cool basketball background. He has really good hands, jump ball abilities, things like that. But just another wide receiver, and he's from USC. We love the UFC wide receivers. We love the Oklahoma wide receivers. We love the Alabama wide receivers. And we're starting to love the Clemson wide receivers as well. Just kind of these running backs that keep going. There's a couple other players as well, but I'm going to just stop it right there because there's going to be so much that changes. We're going to see how some of this collegiate season plays out. Then we'll go from there. This is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads. We do daily Dynasty videos. Here's Jerry G free signed jersey to one of you guys soon. Peace out. Take care.
Now turn up.